Hey everybody, Prepper Nurse 1 here. Today is Saturday. It is the 5th of February 2022. I don't know if you can see the moon up there. Got a little quarter sliver of the moon, even though it's still a little after 3 in the afternoon right now. I'll just show you. Here's Heather's car, completely buried. So we're going to walk out front here for a second. I want to see how this did because, oh yeah, okay, good. Earlier today, I had to come out and I cleaned off the solar panels, and I got up so far, and I know people say, "Oh, get an extension stick or whatever," and that's fine. I probably should do that, but so and I have those actually. So, but I haven't. I just use a broom and I get like halfway through the top layer, but cleared that off. Obviously, that melted the rest of the ice. There was some ice underneath a little bit. Melted that off, and we've done okay since then. I'm going to walk over here real quick, and we're going to get into the topic of this video in a second, but I just wanted to have a gander, kind of show you all the snow that we got here first, and it finally stopped snowing, thank goodness, which is a nice thing. I'm happy about that. So I wanted to look in here really quickly, so let us take a look. All right, we're not bringing as much because it's later in the afternoon now. We got 300 on this side and 70 on that side. That's the first panels. They were already shaded, so we're still getting some there. Batteries are at 26.24, so that is not bad at all. I'm not going to ever complain about that. So that's not a bad place for that to be. And you can see the puppies are having a good time. All right, let's get into the topic of this video. So, we're going to look at something from a perspective, and I want to try to, because people always, you're always going to get those people, why bother, why prep, why do this, why do that, right? You're always going to get that. And so, I wanted to talk about this from this perspective so that people understand, all right? There is definitely issues going on. There's no doubt about that. There have been talks of shortages of food. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about a lot of that information being put out there. And so the thing that we have to think about with that is, excuse me, realistically, food is still available now. That's the reality, right? Food is never going to be cheaper than it is right now. That is also a reality. The food prices are going to continue to go up. If we end up having food shortages and there's a food crisis, that food is not going to be available. So the things that I want people to think about is, how prepared are you to deal with that situation? Now, having food stocked up and all that type of thing is great. That's a good thing to do. It's a smart thing to do. The Mormons, part of their mantra is to have a year's worth of food available no matter what. What I want you to think about is, I look over my raised beds here in the garden area and my greenhouse, right? What you have to think about is, how prepared are you to grow your own food? Can you grow your own food? Do you have any experience when it comes to gardening? So those are the things that I want people to think about. Having food on hand and having supplies is great. But what if you're thinking of a long-term situation, in a grid-down situation, or the world has changed as we know it type of situation, the availability of food may not be there long-term. So let's say you have a year's supply of food. Let's say you got a year's supply of food and you do nothing. You don't do any gardening, you don't do anything else, you don't do any gathering when it's the fall and the plants are coming out and all those type of things. That food's only going to last for so long. You need to be prepared to have backups. You need to be prepared to deal with that type of situation. I have talked before about one of the most important crops that you guys should be growing is potatoes. It could be regular potatoes, sweet potatoes. I would recommend growing both, okay? But the important thing with that is, you got to realize you can survive just on potatoes. So if you had nothing else and you had to grow potatoes, you could survive on that if you have a big enough crop. But again, Planning. It's all about planning. Do you have potatoes on hand? Do you have potatoes that you can use to grow in those type of things? So those are things that I think a lot of people don't even consider. They don't think about. It's not on their mind because it's not important to them. But when it comes to prepping, food production long term has to be one of your main thoughts. Knowing how to garden, knowing what to do, how to take care of your soil so that you're going to continue to have good crops, how to rotate your crops, what grows good together, what doesn't grow good together. Those are all things that you guys really should be learning. All right, I've been gardening my whole life. I grew up on a farm. My grandparents always had an acre garden when I was growing up, and I learned so much from them. And then, as I got older with experimentation and stuff like that, and I'm going to tell you what, when it comes to growing, 90% of growing is the soil. If you take care of your soil will take care of you, okay? There's a big difference between dirt and soil, okay? Trying to throw something in the dirt and think it's going to grow up and you're going to get a big old abundant harvest, that's not always going to be the case. You have to work with soil. You have to nurture it. You got to take care of it. So those are things that I want you guys to think about. Prepping is great, and having a large food pantry is a great thing to have because you can stretch that food out for a lot longer, diversify it while in season, crops that you can grow. When the fall comes and you can pick the cherries and the apples and the pears and the peaches and all those type of things, you should be getting everything that and the apples obviously as well, but you should be picking all those things, canning them, getting them ready for those long winter months when they're not available. Trying to store apples for as long as you can, knowing how to store apples as long as you can. Do you know where to store them? Do you know how to store them? All these things are very, very important, and you don't want to be on a learning curve of, oh my God, SHTF has happened, and now what do I do? That's not the time to learn, folks. The time to learn how to do all that stuff is right now. So, and again, here's another benefit of gardening, okay? You're growing your own crops. You know where that food is coming from. You know what kind of pesticides, if you've even used any at all, are on those crops. Learning how to do different things and learning alternative ways, learning the old ways. There wasn't pesticides and stuff like that back in the old days. They had to use alternative ways to make sure pests didn't get into their gardens. So those are things to think about as well. Every year there's always going to be a different twist. Some things may grow better, some things may not. But those are things I want you to really think about. So gardening is hugely, hugely, hugely important. Really important. And I want you guys to really take that into consideration. It is actually quite chilly out here. I'm actually shivering while I'm doing this video, guys. It's crazy. But I thought it was going to be warmer, but I guess not. I guess it's only in the teens. So I said, well, I'll come out, I'll make this video, because I wanted to kind of show you all the snow that we have here and, what we've been dealing with. And so got the driveway plowed out yesterday. Greg came over and did that for my side and for Becky and Mom's side as well. But I want to hear your thoughts. How important for long-term survival do you think gardening is? Is that a skill that you think you're going to need to have? We can get into more detail about this. I mean, the fact that I believe, and this is just my opinion. See, I base everything on history. I look back and I see what happens on different things. And I know some of you are going to be like, well, I'm going to go into the woods and I'm going to hunt. Well, that's great. Yeah, you and thousands upon thousands of other people are going to go into the woods and hunt. And you upon thousands of other people are going to go to those ponds and go fishing. And at some point, you're going to fish those ponds dry. At some point, you're going to hunt those woods dry. If you look back at the Great Depression, guys, the population in the woods was so decimated that it took more than 30 years, and it took control by the government to say, we cannot hunt like we were hunting before because we're not going to have any livestock. In an SHTF event, there's not going to be anybody there to tell you that you can't hunt in the off season, that you can't do this, that you can't do that. Everybody and their brother is going to be out there trying to get everything that they possibly can. That's what's going to happen. So being prepared and being ready as much as you possibly can be is a very, very smart thing to do. We're not going to be hunters because there's not going to be anything to hunt except for each other. Okay, we are going to be growers and gatherers, and I want you to wrap your minds around that because that's really important. The faster that you can figure that out and know what to do and learn as many skills as you possibly can. And I will tell you right now, I don't consider myself a master gardener by any stretch of the imagination. There's always something else that you can learn. You can learn different tips from people, things that work. Get that knowledge now. That's my advice to everybody, okay? Real quick, I want to talk about my website, preppernurse1.com. We have the Prepper Nurse 1 community there, which is a resource that we have set up for you guys to be able to connect with like-minded people. It is free to join, but you do have to register, but no credit card information is asked when you register. Go in, check out the message boards, look for people in your state or your country. Also, we have the Four Fathers, which is the CBD and hemp store. Definitely take advantage of that as well. Oh, here comes Mom and Becky back. So, or is that just Becky? No, that's just Becky. I guess Mom was home. Okay, but anyway, so the Four Fathers, if you go to my website, preppernurse1.com, you will see their logo. If you click on that, it will take you to their website. If you decide to make a CBD or hemp purchase, you can save 15% off your purchase by using the discount code PrepperNurse1. So definitely take advantage of that as well. Last thing on my website, we have the Legacy freeze-dried foods. Again, preppernurse1.com. You click on store, it will drop down. You will see Legacy Foods. Hey, kiddo. You will see Legacy Foods, and it is, GMO free. It is the largest portion size of any other freeze-dried food companies. It is also vegetarian, but there are beef and chicken options that can be purchased separately. Also, we have on there is, well, actually, if I could speak, I'm losing my train of thought, sorry. Also, there are gluten options for people that need that as well. So it's a good thing to have in your long-term preps. I tell you right now, it is not an emergency. They have plenty of stock. Definitely take advantage of that at this time, because when an emergency happens, things are going to disappear very, very quickly. So the time to do it is now, when it's not that emergency. Anyway, guys, I'm going to jump off here for now. It is really beautiful if you look at the sky. I mean, you would think, wow, it's gorgeous out here. It's just awesome. Well, it's freezing. But remember, we're all in this together. We are one race called the human race, and as soon as we can figure that out, we're going to be in much, much better shape. Also remember to hug and kiss the ones that you love. Tell them every single day. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. We never know what's going to happen in life, so it's really important that we tell the people that we care about every day how we feel. Last but not least, STD. Step, thing, and day. One step at a time, one thing at a time, and one day at a time. Whatever you are trying to do, whatever you are trying to accomplish, you can do it. The only one that can stop you from reaching your goal is you. That's it. Stay positive, stay away from the negativity, and you're going to be just fine, guys. All right? Stay focused, and you'll be great. All right, I will talk to you all later. Look at them just there having a blast. Prepper Nurse 1, out for now.